Thank you, Jenny. So, as she mentioned, my name's Kevin Shanahan, and I'm a product manager at Peak. Today, I just wanted to talk about our view of growth. It's about testing lots of ideas and some of the principles and processes that you can use yourselves to grow sustainably. So, I'm going to use a lot of examples from Peak in my presentation. So, just as a bit of context as to who we are. We're a brain training app on both Android and iOS. We have more than 40 games within the app to train your cognitive skills. We're a free app to download, but if you want to access the full set of features, you need to upgrade to a Pro subscription for that. So we're what's called a freemium business model. Cool. So jumping into growth is testing lots of ideas. So to begin with, I just wanted to illustrate the point by showing you 4 different conversion tests that we've run in the past 6 months. And I was hoping to ask the audience which one, similar to what Jenny did, which one you think had the biggest impact on our conversion rate. So if we take them in turn, the first one was making the ability to replay games in a given day a Pro feature. The second one was reducing the price of Pro by 25% in our top 2 markets. The third one was bundling add-on modules from our partners, such as Cambridge and Yale University, into the Pro subscription. And the fourth one was showing a preview of Pro-only content so that users could actually see what they're getting before they buy it. So which one do you guys think had the biggest impact? Like D, hearing lots of different letters. Maybe for A, show of hands. Cool. For B? For C? No, not a popular one. For D? Wow, OK. So that's interesting, because the answer was A. Making game replays a Pro feature actually increased our conversion rate by more than 50%, which is huge for the business. And you can go further. It actually had a bigger impact on our conversion rate than the last 10 tests we did combined. So what's the key takeaway? Well, basically, you don't know what's going to work and what won't. So the key is to test lots of ideas as quickly as you can. Cool. So taking that on board, how should you approach testing in your company? Well, we think that before you test for growth, you need a great product to do so, with a great retention if you have a customer lifetime component to your business model. If you don't have this, then what's going to happen? Well, you'll be adding more users into the top of the funnel, but they'll just be leaking out down the funnel. So you won't be able to grow your business, and you're going to be looking like the leaky app there in the bottom right-hand corner. So testing for growth is by nature quantitative, so we also think that you need a data-informed culture to test successfully. I picked out 4 things here that I think we do quite well at Peak, which might be useful for you guys. The first thing is just starting lots of team discussions about ideas for tests or tests that you're running at the moment. And we use Slack for that because it's a very collaborative tool. The second thing is sharing test results. We use Google Docs because, again, it's very collaborative. The third is publishing dashboards that everyone in your company has access to. This is particularly useful when you have funnels like your onboarding funnel or your conversion funnel. And last but not least, it's important to prioritize analytics because it's very easy for analytics tasks to drop by the wayside as you're building new features. So our top tip for that is always having an analytics subtask for the main task that you're testing. Cool, but the watch out with data is to beware of the local maxima. So if you follow data by itself, that's very easy. That's very good at helping you to optimize what you already have, but it's probably not going to get you to your global maxima as a business. For that, we believe you need a long-term product strategy, and data is just one input into that. You should also think of testing as not just testing features within the app, but also testing other things. So you should also be testing your in-app messaging, your email, your push notifications. There are really very few limits as to what you can test in your company, and it's a good way of making sure that everyone is involved in the process. So I thought I'd give you one example of that. We've run a couple of really nice tests on the Google Play Store using the great tools that are available there. So 3 tests. The first one was changing the short description. So it used to be one that was a simple description of our app, what we do, and we changed that to be one that highlights an award we received from Google last year as one of the top Android apps. The second one was changing the format of the icon from a more abstract one to one with our name in it, and the third one was changing the color of the icon from a light blue to a light gray. So 3 very small things, which, to be honest, none of us had high hopes for, but cumulatively, they led to a 50% increase in the page view to install rate. So that's a hell of a lot more users that we're getting in at the top of the funnel now, and there were a lot of learnings that we took from this to other parts of the business as well. Okay, so those were a few principles. I'm now just going to briefly mention how we approach process. So similar to Jenny's diagram, there's kind of 6 key steps that we think are involved in a testing process. The first one is brainstorming ideas. So ideally, you'll want to get ideas from as many people in your company as possible for that. The second one is prioritizing those ideas. And to do this, what we tend to do is group the ideas by which part of the funnel we're testing. And then within that, we will prioritize them based on the impact that we think each test will have, taking into account that you never really know which one's going to work and which one won't. Once you have an idea of what to test, you should then try and come up with the minimal viable test for that. So that's the quickest, easiest thing you can do to either validate or refute your hypothesis. You'll then implement your test, you'll analyze the results, and the key one is really to learn from it. So you want to make sure that the next steps are very clear, that everyone in your business understands what the test was, what the results were, and you want to think, is there anything else that I'm doing at the moment that this test affects? So I thought I would leave you with one thing that we find works very well for testing. It's to have a shared testing spreadsheet. We use Google Sheets again for that. And I'm going to share it with Jenny at the end of today, but if you want, I can also share it with anyone here in the audience. Just come up to me and I can send you a copy. But basically, at a high level, there are 5 parts to this spreadsheet. So the first part is an overview of the tests themselves, so description, the rationale behind them. The second part is information on the segment of users that we're testing. The third part is information about the control and test split within that segment. The fourth part are the key KPIs for our tests. And the fifth part are the results and the next steps for the test that we finished. So the reason why this works particularly well is that when you do big tests, they tend to affect almost everyone in the company. So for example, people in customer service need to know what tests we're running, because we might get a lot of emails from users asking what's going on with the peak app in such and such. So them having access to this document really helps. It's also particularly good because you need one source of truth for all your tests, one place that people can come and find out the information. And we find this a very easy tool that everyone understands. You know, spreadsheets are not rocket science. So this has worked great for us. Cool, so just to summarize then. You can't be sure what's going to work and what won't, so the key is to test lots of different ideas. In order to do this, well, it's important to have a great product. Having a data-informed culture is also key. At the same time, be wary of the local maxima, and make sure that you test features not just inside the app. We think that having a well-defined process is very important too, and that shared experiment stock that I just showed you is really one of our key ways that we test quickly and effectively.